Hello everyone, welcome to Inconvenient Truths. I'm your host, Jennifer Zeng. Today I will first of all update you on what the CCP said about the case we talked about last time, the death of high school student Xinyu in China. Then I will reveal some exclusive information regarding the real reason or another explanation why Xi Jinping suddenly ended the lockdowns, as well as the tasks for CCP's new Foreign Affairs Minister and Director of the Taiwan Affairs Office. They all are related to Taiwan, so make sure you stick around till the end. Today, that's February the 2nd, the CCP held a press conference which was live streamed by the CCP's mouthpiece, China Central TV, CCTV. According to the police, Xinyu died by hanging himself, and the place where the body was found was the first scene, no more other crime scenes. The reason why the police made such a conclusion are: one, while the voice recording in the recording pen found at the scene, the police said there are two voice recordings showing that Xinyu was tired of living and clearly indicated that he wanted to leave the world. Reason two is that the police didn't find any traces of other people being at the scene. There were no signs of fighting or dragging at the site where the body was found, and the green mouse on the shoe is the same as that growing on the inside of the wall, etc. Remember, we talk about the location change of where the body was found first. They said it was found in a wooded area. Then they said it was inside a granary. Now they said it was still in a wooded area. Only the wooded area is inside the granary, which is very large, 92 mu or 15 acres. And there are altogether 20 buildings, such as warehouses and dormitories inside the yard. And there's a red stone wall with a height of about 5 meters, enclosing the granary inside the wall. As to the question of how Xinyu managed to climb over a wall that is as high as 5 meters and hang himself inside the granary, the police explanation is there's a dirt heap close to the wall, which is only 1.5 meters lower than the wall, indicating that Hu could have climbed over the wall while the dirt heap. The police also said that Hu hung himself from a tree, and the trunk diameter of the tree is about 11 centimeters. The hanging point is 4.5 meters from the ground and 0.61 meters from the top of the wall. Now, here comes the interesting part. Suppose we need to do some math to calculate the distance or the height of Xinyu's feet from the ground. How would we do it? Let me show you the perfect math. We need to use the height of the hanging point, which is 4.5 meters, minus the length of the shoelaces, which is 1.3 meters. The police said Hu Xinyu had hung himself with the shoelaces. Then minus Hu Xinyu's height, which is 1.73 meters, and the result is 1.47 meters. Guess what? That is exactly what the police said. The corpse, quote, "The corpse wore a black and white hooded sportswear on the upper body with the front and the back reversed, black sports pants on the lower body, the dark socks on both feet. The corpse was constricted at the neck by two white shoelaces joined together. The toe of the corpse were hanging down naturally, 1.47 meters from the ground," unquote. Did you find anything wrong with our perfect math? Well, if he hung himself, the hanging point was at his neck, not at the top of his head, right? Generally speaking, one's head is 1/7 of one's height. So the correct math should be like this. The height of the hanging point minus the length of the shoelaces and then minus the length of Hu Xinyu's torso instead of the entire body. So the result should be 1.71 meters, not 1.47 meters. So whoever did that perfect math for the police just forgot Hu Xinyu's head had a length too. Do we need more evidence that the police were lying? Also, the police didn't release the audio file in the recording pen, which they used as evidence to say that Hu hung himself. They also said they only said the content showed that he didn't want to continue on. Even if he did express his wish to die, that is not evidence that he actually did it, right? Also, suppose he really did succeed in getting on top of the 5-meter wall. How did he manage to jump inside that circle formed by his shoelaces that was 4.5 meters high from the ground? Can anybody repeat the process? Also, the police admitted that the hooded sportswear on Hu Xinyu's body was worn backward. Why? People say it is because you cannot put a jacket onto a stiffened body the other way around. Let's watch a video. It's a medical school student demonstrating how it is much easier to put a jacket on a stiffened body backward, but almost impossible to put it on the other way around.
看来翻穿是很容易就能穿上啊。
So this student is talking, he's asking an assistant to put on the jacket backwards. So he said it is very easy to put on backwards. Now he asks his assistant to put on the jacket the other way around, which is the normal way how people wear their jackets. He was pretending he was a body and very stiffened. So he's asking his assistant to use much force to move his hand. He said because he knew the dead body is as stiffen as the wood. So it's very hard to remove the arm. Even if you break it, you still can't move it. So he's encouraging the assistant to use whatever way she could to put on the jacket. He said it is very, very hard to put on. Demonstrating why it is so hard to put on a jacket on a stiffened dead body in the normal way. The police didn't explain why Hu Xinyu's white shirt underneath his jacket went missing or why his hooded sportswear was worn backward. The police didn't say where his glasses and a meal card he used to eat at the school's canteen are. Those two items were with him when he disappeared from the school. Without locating these two items plus his shirt, how could the police say that the scene where his body was found was the first scene? Why didn't they explore the possibility of murder? Well, somebody left a very long comment under my last show about Hu Xinyu's death, saying this and that are all rumors and not true, saying that there were different levels of students who were recruited. The first level had 151 students, and the second level had 1,150 students, etc. And those who scores or those in the second level will have lower scores than the first level student. And Hu Xinyu belonged to the second level student, whose score, which is 531, didn't enable him to get to the first level, and which requires at least 599 score to get in. So, and he said, but it is an insult to the deceased to say that his score was lower than the enrollment line, etc. Well, this person admitted that Hu's score was indeed lower than the 599 required for the first level, and it seems that he knows the school situation quite well. My point is, if the CCP doesn't give us the truth, it has no right to blame netizens for believing in or spreading any so-called rumors. The fact that someone who knows the school's situation so well and whose English is so good bothered to leave such a long comment underneath my last show indicates that the CCP is really watching closely what the outside world is saying about the case. The CCP also said that Hu Xinyu's body was very decomposed. All the organs were decomposed too, but were still there, and none of them were missing or were in the right position, etc. My question is, if they were highly corrupt, how can you tell none was missing? See this screenshot of Song Zude's Weibo account. Song Zude is a famous influencer who has more than 3.9 million followers on Chinese social media Weibo, and he is the number 15 top account in the entertainment category. He usually only talks about gossip news about entertainment stars, and he hires many people to follow the stars to try to dig up some exclusive information, so he has his own sources. Anyway, several days ago, he said that according to his source, Hu Xinyu was taken to Shanghai on the day when he disappeared from the school and had his organs removed there. Somebody paid hundreds of millions for his organs. After Song Zude said this, his account was banned from posting more content. See the orange sentence inside the red circle? It says this user is currently being banned due to the violation of relevant laws and regulations. So, in conclusion, I'm afraid that the truth of Hu Xinyu's death will become another unsolved puzzle until the CCP collapses. Now let's move to our another topic. The CCP suddenly relaxing its zero COVID control has shocked the world, and people have given different reasons why Xi Jinping made such an unexpected U-turn, but none have connected it with Taiwan. How could it have anything to do with Taiwan? I'll explain right away. According to Professor Yuan Hongbin, everything in China is now working toward one goal: Xi Jinping's ambition to take Taiwan and seize ownership of human destiny as a communist emperor. And under this goal, Li Qiang, who got an exceptional promotion at the CCP's 20th National Congress and who is going to be the next Chinese premier, suggested to Xi Jinping that in order to wage war against Taiwan in 2025, it is very necessary to form a so-called great internal or domestic economic cycle as soon as possible so that China won't care about the Western countries' economic sanction once the war starts. And to form or establish the internal or domestic economic cycle as soon as possible, China must ease the lockdown as soon as possible so that herd immunity could be achieved in 3 months. And these are the necessary social conditions for the wartime domestic economy, Li Qiang said. According to experts' estimation, in the process of achieving herd immunity, 14 million people could die, and that's 1% of the population. But 90% of those who died would be people older than 60 years old. So this wouldn't affect China's economy or cause any shortage of labor, nor would it cause huge uncontrollable social unrest. So this is the main content of a report Li Qiang presented to Xi Jinping, and that was the real reason why the CCP suddenly eased the lockdown, as they needed to rush against time to establish a fully closed wartime economic system. Yuan Hongbin also said in order to take Taiwan, the CCP wants to have the Russia-Ukraine war drag on as long as possible, to at least after 2025. The CCP doesn't want Russia to win or lose the war. It wants the war to drag on, because if Russia wins, that will weaken Russia's dependence on the CCP. If Russia loses, the CCP will have to fight the West alone. Also, if the war against Taiwan starts, the CCP will need Russia's energy supply, as energy access through the sea will be cut off. Yuan Hongbin said that's the reason why recently, while North Korea was providing large quantities of arms to Russia, the CCP's two other bodies, Pakistan and Cambodia, provided military aid to Ukraine. It is not like what some international experts and scholars said, that Pakistan and Cambodia wanted to cut ties with the CCP. On the contrary, no matter if it is North Korea's aid to Russia or Pakistan and Cambodia's aid to Ukraine, they are all CCP's arrangement. They all worked toward the CCP's goal to have the Russia-Ukraine war drag on. Yuan Hongbin said to have the Russia-Ukraine war drag on is one of the 3 main tasks of Qin Gang, who is China's new Minister of Foreign Affairs. Qin Gang's number 2 task is to divide the US and Europe and to weaken the US international influence. And to achieve this, Qin Gang can give up the previous war diplomacy and adopt a more flexible and soft stance, so as to rekindle some Western politicians' appeasement illusions about the CCP. Qin Gang's 3rd task is to mobilize all the diplomatic resources that can be mobilized to create social unrest and political division in the US after the 2024 election, the same kind of social unrest and political division that happened after the 2020 election. And the purpose is to weaken the US willingness and political energy of military involvement in the war in the Taiwan Strait. Thus, a time window and favorable international conditions can be created for Xi Jinping's war against Taiwan after the spring of 2025. Yuan Hongbin said Song Tao, that's China's new director of the Taiwan Affairs Office, was also given 2 main tasks that serve the same purpose. One is to mobilize all the CCP forces inside Taiwan to help the Kuomintang or Chinese National Party to win the 2024 Taiwan presidential election and prevent William Lai Ching-te, the current vice president of the Republic of China or Taiwan and the candidate of the Democratic Progressive Party for the 2024 election from winning. If the Kuomintang can win, the CCP could possibly achieve its goal to so-called peacefully reunification reunification with Taiwan without waging war. Song Tao's other task is to offer training to the 100,000 CCP officials who have already assembled all over Guangxi province. The content of the training includes the policy of managing Taiwan, how to eliminate Taiwan independence forces, as well as the Minnan and Kega languages, etc. It is in case Kuomintang loses the 2022 election and the CCP will have to take Taiwan by force, then these officials can start managing Taiwan. You may have already read the news that U.S. Air Force General Mike Millihan has told his officers to prepare for war with the CCP within 2 years, instructing them to drill service members with full understanding that rampant lethality matters most. He said, "I hope I'm wrong. My gut tells me that we will fight in 2025. Well, I don't know whether he has some other information source to predict war in 2025, but what he said is in line with what Professor Yuan Hongbin revealed in his latest YouTube show. Xi Jinping has been talking about profound changes unseen in a century for many years. It seems true that such changes have come or are coming and are coming. The only problem is, what do those changes mean to the CCP and the world? We'll have to wait and see. Well, that's all for today. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't. If you're already subscribed, please like and share my content and double check that you are still subscribed. Also, if you could, please go to my website and jenniferzengblog.com, jenniferzengblog.com. Sign up for a membership or make a donation to support my truth-telling efforts. I always post my scripts with links to the material sources I use in my shows so that members can choose to read the scripts instead of watching the videos to save time or to explore more and do their own research if they are interested. Thank you. See you next week.